Yes. Old ways, old habits die hard, right? All right. Well, good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the Design Review Committee meeting to order for May 22nd, 2024. And we will begin with roll call.
Good morning, everyone. Committee Member Perez.
Here.
Committee Member Banducci.
Here.
And Committee Member Ellsworth.
Here.
Thank you. Committee Member Cameron and Committee Member Browning are not in attendance.
Great. Thank you. Approval of the minutes. There are none under that section. Item C, public hearings continued. There are none. That takes us to item D this morning. Public hearings new. The first one is IHOP creative sign permit modification located at 136 5th Street. The project is a creative sign permit, SGNC-24-2, modification of SGNC-23-2. The recommendation is to hold a public hearing and adopt a resolution finding the project exempt from CEQA and approving with conditions. And we will begin with the staff report.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Assistant Planner Ponce, and today we're here to discuss the modification to the previously approved IHOP creative sign permit. Here is a bird's eye view showing the IHOP sign showing IHOP at 136 5th Street. Zooming in, the property is located at the corner of 5th and C Streets, and here are D and 6 for reference. The pole sign we'll be discussing today is located here on the corner at 5th and C. In September 2023, Design Review Committee approved the new IHOP signage under Creative Sign Permit 23-2. At this time, the applicant proposed to utilize and modify the existing 30-foot tall pole sign depicting Denny's located on the southwest corner of 5th and C and replace the Denny's logo with a new creative IHOP sign. The approved pole sign had a mid-century design which incorporated a red triangular roof representative of IHOP's iconic A-frame gabled roof. The sign had IHOP's blue box logo with extruding LED or neon white letters, a red punch-out smile that dropped below off the blue box logo. The approved sign design also included a stack of pancakes with neon lighting that was supposed to alternate on and off to give an illusion of dripping syrup below the IHOP logo portion of the sign. Lastly, the approved sign was to have a small illuminated red circular sign with white letters reading open 24 hours located above the IHOP logo towards the top of the red A-frame. In January 2024, it was brought to the City of Eureka's attention that the IHOP pole sign was installed on the existing pole on the corner of 5th and C without a building permit. The sign installed in January did not resemble the sign's creative design approved by the committee last fall. The applicant then applied for a building permit shortly after being contacted by the city for working without a permit, but the building permit could not be approved as it did not substantially conform to the original approval. The applicant is requesting to leave the sign as is, which will require a modification to the previously approved creative sign permit. The newly installed sign is missing a stack of pancakes on the east side of the pole. The pancakes do not have syrup lighting that alternates on and off to give the illusion of dripping syrup. And the pancakes are placed on a digitally printed cabinet and not made out of neon lighting. Lastly, the button at the top of the gable reads "Now Open" instead of "Open 24 hours. The applicant chose to change this since the restaurant is not yet operating fully for 24 hours. At this time, the applicants are only proposing to modify the larger pole sign on the corner of 5th and C. The applicant has been informed that any modifications to the smaller pole sign on the corner of 6th and C will require another modification application and Design Review Committee approval. And here is a side-by-side comparison of the two pole signs. The sign on the left was what was approved in September, and the sign on the right is what has been installed without permits. In order to approve the design review application, the Design Review Committee must make the following findings. For creative signs, applicants must meet all 4 general design criteria and And we believe the sign meets all of these with the condition to install identical pancakes on the other side of the pole. And the sign must incorporate 3 or more of the 12 sign features, materials, and contextual criteria. The sign approved in September met 4, but we believe the current sign still meets 3. Those are criteria 2 with its illuminated cutout text, criteria 7 with its irregular dimensional shape, and criteria 9 with its inventive representation of the IHOP business. For the reasons presented and included in the staff report, the recommendation is to hold a public hearing and adopt a resolution finding the project is exempt from CEQA and to approve the project with conditions. And here is the suggested motion, but we can stop screen sharing to allow for discussion. Staff as well as the applicants are here for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll begin with questions for staff from the committee. I have a question. There was a statement in your presentation about them being required to put the pancakes on the east side, but I didn't see that in the suggested motion, or is that implied in the condition for approval?
That's implied in the condition of approval.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions for staff? Okay, do we have questions for the applicant today? Or comments? Or suggestions? Nothing? Okay. All right. At this point in time, I'll open it up to a public hearing. If anyone in the audience or on the Zoom call would like to speak, you may come forward to the podium or raise your hand on the Zoom call. Okay. Hearing and seeing none, I will close the public hearing, bring it back to the committee for further discussion or a motion. Any other comments?
When I drove by, I didn't realize that the pancakes weren't neon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm good with it.
Yeah. I mean, having the backside of it completed, I think will give it a better aesthetic. I did drive around it and check it out. So I think that is a good resolution to this. Anything else? Good? Okay. All right. Can we bring up the suggested motion, please? Fantastic. Thank you.
I move the design review committee adopt a resolution finding the project exempt from CEQA and conditionally approving the modifications to the IHOP pole sign on the corner of 5th and C Streets.
Second.
Great. We have a motion and a second, and the committee will now vote.
Committee Member Perez,
Aye.
Committee Member Ellsworth,
Yes.
and Chairwoman Van Ducci.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to item E, old business. There is none. Item F, new business. Also no agenda items today. Excuse me. Item G, pre-application review. We do have one item under this category today. Item G.1 is located at 3014 J Street, wireless telecommunication facility. And we have a design review pre-application to go through.
Yeah, so I can provide some introductions. Carrie Fazzolari, sorry if I said your name wrong, is from, I believe, Tower Co. She's on the Zoom call. I can pull up the plans that were in your packet. I also went by and took some perspective photos of the existing, we call it a WTF site, wireless telecommunications facility. With the water tower. So basically why we're here today is this is very, very, very preliminary. There's 4 towers out there on that site right now. And they are thinking about demolishing the existing building and all of the towers and rebuilding 2. They're allowed in the zoning district up to 60 feet tall for the towers in that zoning in the office residential, but they would need a conditional use permit. Our WTF regulations require that the new facilities be sited to avoid and minimize obstruction of scenic views. It's supposed to be, let's see, the facility shall be camouflaged or of an innovative design to minimize negative visual impacts of the facility to the surrounding residential neighborhood. So they really wanted to come to you for lack of a better term, put lipstick on a pig. Like, what do you guys have any ideas of how to make these towers look better and fit in with the neighborhood? They also are interested to see how you'd feel about a 120-foot tall tower, just one tower, which would serve 4 carriers. So there's 4 carriers there right now. They would need a text amendment to do that. But yeah, so we're here very preliminarily. As part of the conditional use permit process, they'd have to hold a community meeting before they even start the discretionary approval process. So first pre-app here, they'd have a community meeting. We would come, they do have to do design review, but since it needs a use permit, would go to planning commission, but I would certainly come back to you and show you whatever plans that they have if you have any suggestions. If they did the text amendment process, that would require planning commission and 2 meetings at city council. So they have a long road ahead of them. So that's why you're not really getting very much information right now, except for these elevations. So with that, Carrie, did you have anything you wanted to add before I share my screen with some pictures?
I do not. I think you did a really great summary.
Okay, great. So I will pull up. So here we'll just briefly share. This is the one monopole site plan. I mean, as you can see, that's definitely not camouflaged and would really stick out. Oh, I forgot to say that the water tower is 150 feet tall. So then here's would be the 2 towers. Now they would be allowed this. They're allowed up to 60 feet in the zoning district, but federal regulations allow an automatic 10 feet increase. So this is the 270 poles. And then I took some perspective photos. So here's the existing facility. I think this is from, I'm looking, Wood Street. And then there's J Street across the street.
What's the height of those poles right now?
I think they're 40 or 50.
40? Okay. I remember reviewing them many years ago.
Yeah. Here's perspective from I Street, property behind it. So you can see the water tower in the background. Here's from Wood and I Street with the water tower. This is J and Wood. J Street, looking south. You can see on the right-hand side are the towers, and then the left, the water tower. And then here's from behind the water tower looking towards I Street. You can kind of see the little poles. Looks like a flagpole sticking up taller than that. Another, I think I just showed you this one, but this is a couple blocks back now on J Street, a couple blocks north. And then this the other day when I was driving by, it was a while ago, I just was like, oh, look, I can see them while I was driving. So I took a picture. And then here's the water tower.
So the tallest proposal is 120 feet. The water tower is 150.
Yeah, it looks like
feet.
it's,
So
yeah.
It's looking like
About
there's a
150.
dimension, if I'm reading this properly from this far away, to about the upper platform is 134 foot 6. Is that right?
Yeah, it's
Somewhere in there.
top of tank, 134. Yeah, and then there's some antennas up there.
Oh, top of tank is 134.
Yeah. So there are telecommunication equipment on top of the water tower now, but I believe it's only for city emergency services. And so no other carriers are allowed to co-locate there. And the zoo. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And the zoo, apparently. I did not know. I'm just focusing on the
Okay.
this one.
So, is there a sign on this property that says it's going to a preliminary design review?
No,
Okay,
this is
so
a
neighbors don't know yet.
yeah, this is this is just a pre-application. So pre-application reviews, it doesn't get noticed. When they do their community meeting, that's required for the conditional use permit. I was just looking at it before the meeting started, and they would have to send out card stock, like bright yellow or fluorescent. It says card stock. You have to have a bright yellow sign on the site. I believe you have to mail to 500 feet around the site. And hold that community meeting first and then report back to the city on how that went. And certainly, someone from the city would be there to see what they present. But I think before they even think about applying, they wanted to come to you for any ideas and kind of gut reactions.
Well, the neighborhood's going to be very involved in this.
I did look at the history. I did give Carrie a heads up, and I read it was pretty involved in the last time.
That's what.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of it is too, right now it's a bit shielded by a building. And so what we're seeing now is really, really pared down, a 6-foot chain link fence with a 3-foot landscape wall and then this giant tower sticking out from behind it. Right now you've got a little bit of building massing to kind of help cover up about half-ish of those poles right now. So it's really hard to see like what's being proposed right now being successful and being well received, just because the screening piece of that and what that looks like in the context of the neighborhood, that's a big change. Right.
Yeah, and they would like to demolish everything and start again. So if they were to, so the equipment, that building is full of equipment supporting the towers. And so I believe that they would need probably another, they definitely have to screen all the equipment on the ground. So they would have to do another building. And the regulations say, 60 foot tall, and then they could get the 10 for 70, but it also limits them 25 feet above the height of the building. So if they add a new building, so there would still have to be a building, and then it would only could be 35 feet above the top of the building. So, there's some options, but I have no idea,
Right.
Do
So
you guys
by
have any
not-
ideas how to make it good? Some staff people are like, I hate the trees, that they use to try to
The fake
camouflage.
trees.
Yeah.
Well, they would look kind of funny. I mean, they would be very obvious there.
Right.
It'd be very.
I mean, I think all wireless towers are obvious.
Well, sometimes when they mix it in with regular trees, it doesn't look too bad. It's not as obvious. I don't know.
You just don't have that context here.
Yeah, we
Like the
don't have
university
that.
has one up on,
Right.
it's in a grove of redwood trees. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as obvious.
it's not obvious. Yeah. Chuck, go ahead.
I have two things. Addressing the tree issue. Trees, the imitation trees look silly because they don't look like trees. They look like something else, but they're not trees and they're not cell towers. There's just something strange. What does the client want?
That's a great question. So we own the property. The church is abandoned. And so we want to find a solution that, and it's like Caitlin said, putting lipstick on a pig. We know what it looks like now, which isn't attractive. And we know that maybe simplifying it and putting up one tower or two towers in the back, taking down the building, putting equipment building there, fenced in, putting new landscaping, whatever landscaping you want, and then opening it up to have parking for just public parking itself and dedicating that part of it. Because we know Humboldt County just bought property next door and they're planning construction of I can't remember what it is, but I know it's like a health facility kind of thing. So we thought that offering that parking would help, and it also having the towers there will do better coverage. Because right now we have T-Mobile, AT&T, and US Cellular there, and they're already asking if we can modify this. They want to add more antennas, or they want, because the height's so restrictive. And so we thought 2 side by side in the back of the lot with the landscaping up front and the parking lot up front at 60 feet or 70 feet it would be I think the current ones are 55, so it'd be an additional 15 feet, but it would just be 2 and not 1, and not with a dilapidated building, and it's that much lower than the water tank which currently exists with equipment on it. So we would prefer 2, or if you guys don't want 2 of them, we would go with 1. And what we can do is the antennas right now on the existing aren't full arrays, which sometimes you see that when you go and you see a monopole, it'll be where the antennas are further out, like, I don't know, 3 feet from the pole, where these are closer together, so it's less obtrusive. And what we could do is, and this is when we file for the conditional use permit, we would do photo simulations. Adding trees, it's a possibility, but I don't know how we would get, I mean, they would have to grow over a certain period of time to camouflage that. We propose maybe an old-fashioned structure, but the water tank is kind of already there, so not sure, just not sure. So I guess that's why we're in front of you, to say here's what we have, 2 at 60 feet or 70 feet.
Thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome.
I have some follow-up comments, questions.
Yeah, I have a pretty
Go ahead.
clear idea what they
Okay.
want to do. There's a, the taller pole, the 120-foot pole, offers tremendous amount of opportunity for some artwork on the pole in terms of sculptural. And that would be one consideration. The other one would be when you talked about an older building, to simulate a traditional water tower.
That was their first idea, was the water tower. We're like, well, there's a water tower a couple blocks away. And so we weren't sure if the community would go for that, since that's such an iconic water tower for the community. But I definitely thought about that too. Like, could it be some sort of artsy thing? I don't know. Could we like pave the way for something unique and like the mid-century modern? I don't know, some weird. I don't know.
Go ahead.
On the concept of using the larger pole, the 120-foot pole, as a venue for some artwork, we've got some pretty talented sculptors in this community, starting with Dwayne Flatmo, who has built some amazing structural steel sculpture over the years. And my first suggestion would be that the applicant contact him and see if he would be on board to construct a piece of iconic art.
That could be cool.
And what was his name? I'm sorry.
Great idea.
Well, his name is Dwayne Flatmo. There's another gentleman, Ken Beidelman, who is a friend of Dwayne's. These are mega projects. I mean, it's no small deal to design a structural sculpture that large. I mean, it's a big deal.
Sure. Yeah.
Carrie, I have a question related to kind of more of the human scale of this, the perception of what it feels like to be, in and around this site. And so when I thought the parking may have been for like maintenance or service vehicles for the site, but now that you're saying that you're opening it up to the public, I'm just curious if you'd all be like open to like a pocket park or something else that contributes to the community other than just 4 parking spaces. I understand, the offer here, but I feel like there could be a larger benefit. You've got the Boys and Girls Club nearby, so if there was some more activities around this area. We've got Carson Park not too far away as well. So if I just feel like there could be a larger contribution to the community and this neighborhood other than the 4 parking stalls. So just,
Sure.
Maybe something to consider. And then the screening, I think, you'll have to be really smart about the landscaping and the trees and how that may impact maintenance over time into the yard. But I think it's going to definitely require a lot of landscaping to help screen and soften this for that neighborhood.
Absolutely. We, just to answer part of your question is, it's an unmanned facility, so we're only there maybe once or twice a month just to check on the sites. So we wouldn't need any parking. And then of course, when we're constructing, we would have vehicles there. And in terms of landscaping it and making it something for the community, we're all for that. We just reached a community in Des Moines, Iowa, their fall festival, and we have a building similar to this it's in a parking lot, and we're going to help them out with their staging and all of that for the festival itself. So we're open to creative ideas. In terms of using a sculptor and creating something unique, there's that expense that comes into play. And so I would have to put that forth in front of the carriers who are currently there and in front of my company. Because despite what people think, we don't really make money on these towers. Verizon's doing it. They make money on their phones, but maybe not on the towers. So we definitely take that into consideration. And I think a big concern here is that the church itself is abandoned, and it over time, if nobody's there, it gets dilapidated, and that's just going to be another eyesore on top of the eyesore that already exists. So I think our focus is on getting rid of that eyesore, and if we can do a park where the towers in the background, or 2 towers are in the background, and there's activity in the front and nobody's noticing the towers, then we can try that. And then if we put the antennas closer to the tower, which is called like a flush mount, that would make them less unsightly. But of course, we'll do photo sims and we'll give options and work with you guys maybe on another informal meeting to say, here's some proposed views of what we're thinking of, whether it's a 3-legged sign that says welcome to the city of Eureka, whether it's they stick with the monopole idea. Of course, I'm just the messenger on this, so or something other creative that we can put forth in front of you.
Yeah, I think having the additional imagery with the context of the scale and maybe some of the neighboring houses when you come back, so you could really give everybody the full context, will be really impactful for your next presentation. And maybe even having kind of a site section that shows the water tower in the context as well will be helpful.
Yeah, okay.
I like the idea of the park. And it could be, you could include a dog park, because that's, people would be, the dog park, we have 2, I think, in Eureka, and they're at total different ends of town. There's a sculpture in Santa Rosa that's really cool that they took. It's in front of a bike shop, and I'm not suggesting that this would work here, but they piled bikes on top of each other, and they have you seen that? It's really cool. So I like the Dwayne Flatmo.
Yeah, I know that sculpture you're talking about.
Yeah.
I just was down there for some medical issues recently, and drove by that 2 or 3 times a day, and it's lovely.
Yeah.
It's thought provoking, because you just really want to look at it and see, my God, look at this.
How tall do you think it is?
50 to 75, 50 feet.
Oh, wow.
Oh, easily.
50, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's 100. I mean, we couldn't.
No. But it could be adapted. That concept could be adapted to a 120-foot pole, single pole,
Right.
very comfortably.
And then design the park to go with the
Exactly.
theme of the pole.
Okay. You know what I'll do is I'll look up. I'm assuming he has a website, and I'll take a look at some of his work and see if we can come up with it from an engineering standpoint.
Right.
What we could do to make it look pretty.
He's very popular in Eureka. So that
One
would
last
help.
thought on this, if I may.
Yep.
The city currently has a sculpture in place that everybody really enjoys looking at right now. We're in what they call the Iron Horse Garden, which is at the intersection of 5th and Highway 255. And it gets a lot of rave reviews. And it's made of just odds and ends junk assembled to look like a horse.
Okay.
Those are some great ideas. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Dwayne Flatmo, he has a name for his shop, art shop, but I can't think of it right now. But I know, Carrie, if you just Google Dwayne Flatmo Kinetic, you'll find him.
Yeah, his shop is over by Schmidbauer.
Maybe it's like the Kinetic Lab.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I like this idea a lot, and I understand your hesitancy to put lipstick on the pig. I get it. I love that phrase. Thank you. I'm going to use it.
It's a tough one considering the context. Yeah.
One last
Okay.
thought on Dwayne's
Yeah.
sculptural technique. This is totally off the wall. But if you're familiar with his sculpture El Popo, which he sold to a football team in Texas, if you've ever seen pictures of that at Burning Man, it moves and spews flame, and this has tremendous opportunity artistically to move and to spew flame if you desire.
And Carrie, apparently they leave hundreds, if not thousands, of bicycles at Burning Man every year. And I know Dwayne goes to that, so maybe he can snag some bicycles for you.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, we're used to just flagpoles, so this is new to us. But I love the idea. I think it would be great.
So it's 60 feet high.
Yeah, I looked it up. It's called the Cyclist Public Art Project, and it's 60 feet high. It's a 5-story Egyptian-style obelisk.
Wow.
Jessica, we can't hear you.
Okay. She was saying that the bicycle sculpture in Santa Rosa is up to 60 feet tall and in a obelisk form.
Very cool.
And when you actually see that sculpture in person, it's not very large. It doesn't have the presence that it could have.
So would you be opposed to 2 sculptures side by side if we came up with a good design, or would you rather stick with the 120 height?
I think the community feedback is really going to dictate 1 versus 2.
Okay.
And I think that this design review committee, not speaking for everyone, but I think that we can be open to either considering some of these comments and suggestions that we've given today on adding some creativity to the polls or adding a pocket park or dog park, something like that. Other things that contribute to this neighborhood, I think are going to be essential to the success of determining whether it's a 1 or a 2 pole application.
I have one comment regarding the pocket park and dog park concept is the unintended consequences of maintenance for these kinds of projects. So if something can be designed so that there is community buy-in, community service, as in a park that is very low in maintenance, because all these things cost money to the city to maintain. So
Yeah.
the less maintenance and the fewer unintended consequences, the better off the community will be.
I hear pickleball's
Okay.
pretty popular. You could throw a pickleball court in there and pretty low maintenance.
Yeah, and it seems like with the county facilities being close by, there's a few hundred people that work in that building that they probably would really appreciate a little pocket park. I know when I worked there, I would have walked over and had lunch if there was something close by.
Okay. Any other comments, feedback for today? Sounds like there's a long road ahead. So
A very long time.
hopefully we've
Thank you.
generated some ideas here today that you
Yeah,
can
absolutely.
find
I love
useful.
the idea of the park, yep, and the sculpture, quite honestly. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm sure I'll be in front of you guys at some point soon. Ish.
Great. Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate your time
Thank you.
today.
You too. Enjoy.
Okay. Pre-application reviews require public comment? No. We don't have anybody here. Okay. And nobody's on the call. So no public hearing today. Okay. All right. Item H, directors, reports, and communications.
Just wanted to let you know that the Booner Street project is getting appealed to, I think, the Planning Commission. But
Okay.
I guess if you Chuck and committee member Browning, I think, or was it you, Caroline, who volunteered for the subcommittee? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, great. Were you guys able to connect with Swan? She's been sending out emails to try to set up a meeting.
Yeah, we're scheduled for I want to say 10 o'clock Friday,
Great, perfect.
No,
room
I-
207.
I thought it was the 29th, like Monday at 8 a.m.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
the next Monday after that.
Well, we'll make sure to clarify
Yeah,
that.
'cause
and
I
get
don't want to
you-
do the 8 o'clock.
Because I have it in my contact or on my phone as
Yeah, I think
Friday.
the last email she sent out to everyone, she couldn't get an agreement on everyone's dates and times, so she picked one. So
good.
We'll make sure to just forward you which is the correct meeting date. I believe
Yeah.
I was CC'd on that. So
Okay.
okay. And
So there's
that's it.
hope that it won't be at 8. I don't have to be here at 8 o'clock.
I agree. I'm not a 8 o'clock person. Yeah, no. I don't have any other updates.
Okay. Other reports and communications, item I. Or oral communications. We don't have any public present. What's that? Just left with staff?
Everyone's left the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Online
Everyone's left
except
the
for
meeting.
staff, so.
Okay. Any oral communications from committee members?
Oh, no.
Hearing and seeing none. That means we will adjourn our meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you.